Hey everybody, and thanks for tuning in. Welcome back to Jake and Mike Know Nothing, where today you won't learn anything. No, wait, you'll learn a little bit.
Or if you've been doing all your homework on this, we're just going to be touching base on something you probably are well aware of. It really ties into our new partnership with Nerds and Beyond. Yeah, you want to get into this, kid?
Well, that, and I think the fact that we both generally kind of like these things.
Yeah, we've become Disney-aholics. I'm not sure what kind of verbiage you can use, but over the last few years, we've definitely been drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, so we're just going to pretty much give like a brief summary is what I would say of the D23. Yeah, the little Disney event that went on. And right off the bat, we'll start out with which I think is the most important thing from all that, which would be the Disney streaming service, Disney Plus.
Yes.
They decided to actually release, a little bit more details.
Yeah, they gave us some more information, so we have a little bit more to keep in mind now.
For sure. We'll start with the release date. It's going to be released November 12th. The standalone cost is going to be $7 if you compare that to Netflix, which right now standalone is $13, I believe. Disney will be doing a bundle package as well that will include Disney Basic Hulu, which has commercials and such, and ESPN Plus. That'll be $13 a month.
Yeah, exactly. That's a steal, I feel like. I mean, I know I've stayed away from ESPN Plus so far because I don't see the interest for me in paying that extra $5 when I already have had the MLB package and things of that nature. ESPN Plus will put on like one game of each sport a night is what they kind of have been advertising. With Hulu, I haven't had Hulu in years, but I mean, obviously, I'm going to probably just, honestly, $5 extra. What's that going to hurt? You know what I mean?
No, I actually like the Hulu. The ESPN Plus, for me, yeah, that's a pass. That's kind of just one of those things like, yeah, I guess that's cool. Maybe someone will watch it.
But it's in their spectrum, so it makes sense for them to offer that. And I get it.
That's like their sports package. Hulu is actually pretty cool. And Hulu has its own standalone services. It has shows like, Sunny in Philadelphia, Malcolm in the Middle, and things like that.
And the Simpsons archive is on there. South Park's on there.
They're going to put all of that on there. So you get, quite a lot with Hulu. So as of now, I mean, they've already said and stated that this is pretty much like their entry fee, the $7 or the $13. It is definitely going to go up, especially because they're going to pull all of these shows from like Netflix and things like that. So it's going to kind of destroy Netflix. Netflix is going to have to become Well,
and Netflix is also dropping Friends. I mean, that's another thing that it kind of isn't pertinent to the whole Disney spectrum. But Netflix, after that whole Save Friends campaign that was running, Netflix is finally, I think it's after, not this year, but after next year is when it's going to go away.
Yeah, exactly. So Netflix is going to become basically a show that's going to have originals, or I don't know, because Disney owns
they already do a lot of original movies, a lot of documentaries. They have a lot of you had the whole Ted Bundy documentary that then turned into the Ted Bundy movie with Efron starring in it. One of the things I liked was a quote that came from actually Disney CEO Bob Iger. He basically put it that we're not necessarily looking to have a lot of stuff on there. We're looking for more quality, which is something very interesting to think about. And it makes a lot of sense to us because they're putting pretty much all of their movies, like they're putting all with the exception of, you could kind of say, and something that you and I don't like because of our language, our sense of humor, but their R-rated stuff is going to stay away from it. But everything else is going to be family and kid friendly. Yeah,
I was going to say that too. They did make a point to say that this is going to include all Disney family related content, anything up to PG-13.
Yeah.
For the most part, or anything after that will either be on Hulu, or that is something that they might actually branch out and let another company kind of own, or rent rather, lease. It's going to include Nat Geo as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because National Geographic's involved in it.
Yeah, because they own a lot of stuff.
Yeah, their hands everywhere. You're right. Now, something that I think is interesting to talk about, they haven't yet offered a bundle that's going to skip commercials, because you'd have to think Hulu has commercials, like you said. We can get a bump up. I know if you spend extra money to where there's not commercials involved. I mean, I'm sure like we said, there's a regular and a deluxe model already between $6.99 per month. They are offering at kind of like a discount if you pay for it just for the year. It's $69.99 for the base model, which would be just the Disney, I feel like. But I'm waiting for them to come out with just what it would be total cost for everything without commercials. I'm interested to see what that would be.
No, that would actually be pretty interesting, because like I don't really want to have, people don't want commercials anymore. so it is what it is. There's a bonus if you're a D23, founder, or you're subscribed to that. They have a offer where you can get a 3-year subscription to this Disney Plus service for a total of $140.
Wow,
which is
it's
pretty
a deep
dang
discount.
good. I mean, that's basically $4 a month.
Yeah,
but you have to be a member on another site already. But for the most part, I think a lot of people who are members to that site, they'll definitely benefit from this. So
now another thing, again, I've been reading up on this because I've been kind of sleeping through a lot of these announcements. I've been kind of more focused on the theme park stuff, which we are, of course, going to get to on this podcast, and it was part of the expo that they just did. How fascinating is it that they're going to have no restrictions on downloadable content, that if you pay for this service, you can download it and store it on, like, say, a tablet, something where, you don't have to actually keep streaming it and using up data.
I think that is actually awesome, and it's something I wish Netflix would do. And it's one of those things, if you're on a plane or whatever it may be, or in a car road trip, you don't have to worry about using all your data streaming said service. Instead, you could just have something downloaded, which is pretty cool. I do think that's a good idea, and I like that.
Now, and they also came out and they said that by doing where you have it with this mobile or tablet device that we're referring to, you can have up to basically on 10 basically mobile or tablet-like devices.
Yeah, they're making sure that the whole family will be able to be involved and watch at the same time and all that fun stuff. For me, this is a buy for me for sure, especially starting out, because Netflix for me is kind of losing a little bit of its value. I've watched the few things that I like.
Well, because we're in such a... Now, here's something that we talked about where you're not happy about this, but I kind of am. Netflix has kind of been a... give me it now. They've set us up for a give me it now culture, because you wait for that new season to come out and you can watch that new season. If you have the whole day off of work, you can pretty much knock out a season of something in pretty much one day. Depending on what it is, sometimes you're going to need a couple of days. But what do you think about the fact that they have been very adamant that this is going to be something where when they put out these shows, it's going to be once a week?
And so for me, like, if there was a pro and a con list, this is at the top of the con.
Okay.
I'm one of those people. I don't necessarily need, instant gratification right now. I'm perfectly fine with waiting for things. But to me, the whole concept to, like, really get involved with these shows, because they're going to put out a lot of, I know, they said quality over quantity, but they're going to bump out a lot of stuff. And for me, a lot more of these shows, they're a lot, like, I think Netflix is super successful because of what they do. Just release it all. You're able to sit there and watch it all and have everything fresh in your memory. I don't miss watching something every other week, being told I need to be, hey, you need to have every Thursday off at 8 p.m. because that show you like is going to release. And like, I don't like that.
I understand. And I do, like I said, I love the instant gratification that we do get now. That's what people want, right? When it comes out, you want to see the whole thing at once. You don't want to keep waiting. We're going to end up doing an HBO podcast here sooner than later. But not to be, going too far off topic. For me, I don't necessarily care, because I'll be honest with you, we're going to get to all the new shows and things that are really getting hyped up and are announced. I'm less likely to have it for the Disney shows than I am to have it for the Disney movies and Hulu.
The classics. I basically want it for the classics and Hulu. And that's it. Just like you were saying.
Now, what about like, because one of the things we kept hearing, and it finally got addressed, is there was this huge talk about how they were going to restrict the amount of, say, devices, the amount of accounts, because Disney was going to try to cut out so many other streaming services. People get your login and your password, and it seems like up to like 50 people, depending on what it is, somehow are able to watch it from your one account with that company. But Disney has come out and said that you are able to take, basically with you having this account, you can have up to 4 registered devices all at once watching, which is doubling Netflix, right? Unless you have to pay extra money on Netflix, you only have 2 at a time. And then basically you're able to have 7 different profiles. I mean, think about that, 7 different profiles.
Oh, it's a lot of different. It's one of those things, because I thought they were going to be really restrictive and pretty much go, hey, here's your small limitation, and you can only use it on said devices. And I mean, I guess they can't really go back on that. But I like that. I mean, there's definitely becoming. They're definitely pushing that family thing. If you're, husband, wife, maybe you got 2-3 kids, and each of them has their own account, own device, their own shows, you'll be able to limit it.
Now, do you think that they jumped the gun a little bit here by canceling Daredevil or having Netflix no longer be able to have Daredevil and the Punisher? Like, do you think that they should have had maybe some mild working relationship with them, because those shows are both really well acclaimed? I mean, I feel like the Marvel shows that they canceled were the ones that weren't doing too great, but people had a lot of. I mean, you know me especially. You know, I binge watched both seasons of the Punisher. First episode to last episode. Love that show.
I didn't really watch them. I understand why they did it, because it's strictly from a business perspective. Mm-hmm. They wanted to take a hit show from Netflix. Mm-hmm. From what I've read a while back, they're going to redo those shows and make them again, but it's going to be different cast and different stories to a degree. So it's kind of annoying that they did that, but it's perfectly understandable. I don't know if you had seen got the Lady and the Tramp on here now, and it's going to be another made into a live action.
I've told you, I've steered clear of them. I've avoided them. I will not avoid Mulan. Mulan is my favorite cartoon or animated classic, because it's old enough now to call it an animated classic at this point. I will go see Mulan. I am very excited to see it being more of a martial arts movie, based more on like Chinese cinema than I am trying to see it based on like being a Disney film. I know that not everybody's too happy about that, but can't wait for that. Otherwise, I may see Aladdin, just because even though I'm not a big fan of Will Smith personally, I just want to kind of see how well Will Smith did do as the genie.
I've heard very good. I watched the clip when we were at Disney one day, and they showed us like a 10-minute preview. I just wasn't into it, but I've heard it was pretty good.
Now, something everybody else was nerding out about, and again, I could care less. Obviously, we've had our discussions. We're not going to go into DC versus Marvel here. I've got my opinions. Other people have their opinions. But it's the phase 4 now. I want to say we're on to phase 4 for Marvel's universe with Disney. So a lot of the phase 4, it seems like, is happening through these new shows.
Yeah. No, and I think they're going to just correlate the two, with all these new shows, obviously, because a lot of them are new things are being opened in the park around the same time that the service is coming out, and or movies are coming out. The Avenger theme park, essentially, is what it is, like that area. Well, I mean, that's going to be years from now.
Sure.
But it's such a big thing right now. You also have the Spider-Man conflict and that little issue. There's a lot of things that are a little wonky.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are going on right now with it. But the point is Disney usually, with the amount of money that they have to throw around, I mean, they can almost buy anything. It's just whether or not someone is willing to sell that entity or that property to them.
Yeah, I actually thought it was going to end up being in Florida, honestly, because they have so much space down here. But they're already
Universal got the contract, so they unfortunately can't come here until that contract gets either bought out or whatever may happen with that. With the new shows and stuff, because I think that's one of the big things people are excited for. I mean, do you kind of want to start off with what do you feel like? Do you want to start off kind of more with the Star Wars? Because obviously the new Star Wars ride in Florida has just. Well, not ride, but new Star Wars area within Hollywood Studios has just finally kind of opened to the public here at Hollywood Studios. It's, of course, been out there in California for some time now. I say fuck it, because those are the ones I'm going to know a little bit more about. We got some new Star Wars shows coming. Those are probably going to be the shows that I would watch with this service.
Yeah, like a prequel to Rogue One, kind of what they were doing. Rogue One, to me, that's been my favorite one.
Rogue One's the last good movie that they made. I mean, and I did like Solo. I thought that was good. I'm not going to talk about the last actual Star Wars movie. It was, we're not going to do that. I like
Star Wars, and everyone wants to stick up for it, but it's been pretty.
No, they Disney'd it way too much. Yeah, they absolutely did.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah, I feel like the people that like in all honesty, man, in just kind of thinking about these things, the shows that have been announced so far, these are shows of like characters that Star Wars fans felt like they wanted more of. You think of Rogue One as being a standalone movie. Now we're going to get kind of like a prequel show to Rogue One. I know a lot of people have already talked about being excited for that. Not only that, but like, dude, they got Ewan back. Ewan's going to be coming back as Obi.
I was just actually about to say that, how they're officially going to do like a little Obi-Wan movie or series, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That's been something that's been wanted for a long time now, but Solo actually failed to them, in the eyes of the community, everybody, that they actually said they were going to take a break on pumping out all these movies. Like, people were getting Star Wars fatigue, and it's true, but it also makes sense that clearly they were just wanting to hold this in the chamber and use this as another selling point for their service.
Yeah.
Because most of these, or all of these theatrical releases are only going to be on the Disney Plus services. And they're only going to have these little standalone series and shows on the service.
Yeah.
You know, like The Falcon, there's a Loki series with Tom Hiddleston. I think they're going to do a She-Hulk, so there's going to be
That's
the Hulk
cool.
but female version.
Yeah.
They're rebooting Lizzie McGuire.
Oh, I heard, man. So cool. Hilary Duff. Good to see you back. Hey, bring back Even Stevens. That's what we all want.
I liked Even Stevens.
And of course, you know, a lot of people that were my age growing up, we were used to the Disney Channel movies that would come out like once a month. You know, so you had like Johnny Tsunami and Brink and some of the other really, of course, Halloween Town. We're getting close to Halloween. We have to bring
Halloween
up
Town's great.
Yeah, exactly. The one we didn't really talk about is the one that I am legit ready to see. Now, most Star Wars people that love the bad guys, right? Because Darth Vader is supposed to be the bad guy. You don't like him, but people love Darth Vader. Obviously, Darth Maul is another character very similarly. I can see them trying to dig something up here to make money off of that. The Mandalorian series, of course, about like Boba Fett, Jango Fett, just the bounty hunters that are part of the Star Wars galaxy. That is going to be so exciting, man.
Yeah, and from what I've read on that, because that actually does look really good and really interesting. It was trending on YouTube for a couple of days. I mean, it was like their big reveal.
Yeah.
I mean, they showed a teaser for the new Star Wars, like a 5-second clip, and that was lame. But this show looks great. This to me looks like it would be something that would be a standalone on its own. I mean, hopefully the writing's there. I'm sure it will be. But apparently it's got a really big budget, like to the point to where it was almost like $15 million an episode, which was like the end of Game of Thrones.
Well, and Favreau's got his hands on that one.
Yeah,
that's the good part. I know I've talked to a lot of people about The Lion King. Again, I will say it one last time. I have no interest in seeing any of these live action or computer graphic made Disney movies. A lot of the people that I've talked to that saw The Lion King have had negative reviews. I've heard people to say as far as they were upset because these supposedly lifelike animals wouldn't make faces like they did in the cartoon.
Yeah,
but they're supposed to be lifelike animals. But I've overly been a fan of Favreau for years. I think he does an amazing job with the stuff he gets his hands on. Most people will always tell you, like, you know, the first Iron Man is just the best thing since sliced bread. Of course, I'm the worst and I've never seen any of them, even though I do like Downey. But he's at least directing that. And then, hey, dude, the Clone Wars. They're going to pick up where the series left off on like Cartoon Network, Netflix. Do you think that they're going to get the rights to the original stuff from, of course, Cartoon and Netflix? Do you think they're going to get the rights and then just be able to have all of it so you can start the new season after watching the old stuff?
I actually do think they're going to do that. And like they have Rebels, which is super popular and it's got its big base. I mean, they're just going to move everything to this service. I don't want to say they'll eventually just pull away from like TV, but maybe that's kind of what they're trying to do. It's so weird to me because,
well, Freeform is kind of distance. They're not distancing themselves per se, but they're showing a lot less Disney content, I feel like, than they historically have.
No, but my whole thing is, and I was talking about it the other day, is how everybody is moving to their own standalone monthly services. Like even NBC and CBS, places like that, they're going to do their own thing soon. And here we are with Disney going, hey, we're putting out this service that's cheaper for you to pay for if you sign yearly contracts. So no more month-to-month stuff. Also, we're not going to put all our stuff out all at once. So it's weekly. And I'm like, man, that's getting real close to, I don't know, TV.
Yeah, it is.
So it's just kind of strange. I wanted to, because I had mentioned just vaguely there, Game of Thrones, Kit Harington, Jon Snow, he's joining the Marvel Universe. Supposed to be some show about immortal beings or something along those lines.
Yeah, but he's always going to be my favorite because of 7 Days in Hell. I couldn't care less about Game of Thrones. 7 Days in Hell, do yourself a favor. Andy Samberg, I know Andy Samberg's not your guy. He's my guy. Amazing, obviously, mockumentary about a tennis match at Wimbledon. Just a beautiful job. Mm-hmm. You even watched it and you did giggle a little bit.
Yeah, there was good moments.
Yeah.
What was it? They mentioned the Black Panther was going to come out May 6th, 2022.
Yeah, I feel like that was like a revolt, though, because I feel like a lot of people, when the first announcement of this new, group of Marvel movies when Black Panther wasn't brought up, like myself included. I loved Black Panther. I thought it was a great movie. I have a few friends that are indifferent to it, but I'm a huge fan of Black Panther, and I'm like, yeah, get me ready for the sequel. Let's do this. They didn't announce it, but it was like kind of like teased in there. Of course, the one thing that I still feel was out of place was Blade. I couldn't believe that they were including Blade in all of that. And Blade to me is an R-rated thing, so it's gonna get dumbed down to PG-13, which really stinks.
Yeah, potentially. I thought the Black Panther being in 2022, I thought that was pretty late, and I was like, wow, 3 years from now. I mean, that'd be 4 years after the initial release. None of these movies are like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and I thought it made them money hand over fist to where they would want to get it out sooner.
Yeah, you would think they'd want to just pump it out. But
yeah, exactly.
It is what it is. I was surprised we didn't get an actual, like, real new trailer for the Star Wars. Instead, it was kind of a pay homage clip. With at the very end, it showed Rey with like a double lightsaber.
Yeah, hers
probably a clone or something like that.
Hers was a little different too, because if you think back to Darth Maul's, when Darth Maul would activate it, they would shoot out both ends. And it's a little bit similar to Kylo Ren's, where when Kylo Ren activates his, it looks like a sword in the sense that, he's holding the handle, but you have the two little parts, obviously on the side, like for the handle, that kind of light up. And then, of course, the long part. Obviously with Rey's, it looks like she has to like
very switchbladed.
Yeah, like a switchblade. You couldn't have worded it better, like a switchblade.
Yeah. I didn't really care for it, but I did want like a brand new legit trailer, not some tease. Hopefully we'll get that soon. I mean, the movie comes out in 3 months now.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And hopefully it's better.
Yeah, hopefully.
Now, what about the news that came out yesterday? I mean, this has got to be talked about before we get to the park, because this is kind of big in my eyes, at least. So Yahoo Finance put out an article yesterday. Author being Julia LaRoche. Gotta always make sure we push the people that are writing these articles and the information they're giving us, because we're not just grabbing it from the stratosphere and giving you guys things that we just think are. We're not making this shit up, for lack of a better term. So they polled 1,000 people, right? Basically, UBS Evidence Lab polled 1,000 people in the U.S., consumers, right? Out of the 1,000 consumers, 43% say they intend to subscribe to Disney Plus. And then if you break those numbers down, like even further, 24% of those people said they're extremely likely, and 19% said they're somewhat likely. And again, that's out of 1,000 people. So then you start to multiply that by like the whole country. So Disney is probably about to be way more. I mean, they're about to just like, they have a big empire, but they're about to completely take everything over.
Yeah, I can't remember their exact number. It might be on the article you're looking at, but they stated that they expected it to be pretty much where Netflix is within a year or two, and Netflix has been doing this for a while, 5-6 years now, whatever it may be. So they know they're going to be the shit, and that they'll eventually be the top dog, and it's bound to happen. And then they'll definitely raise the prices there, and it's going to go, hey, well, you're loving our shows, we have all the content, kind of thing. So that'll be the bummer. Like right now it's cool because it's affordable and things like that, but
it'll eventually go up like our annual passes.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of unfortunate, but every person I've ever spoken to about it, they plan on getting it. I mean, I plan on getting it.
Well, but we were talking to a lot of Disney people, and everybody that's Disney people like us, there's not even a question mark. They're immediately saying, yeah, just give, you see all those memes like, take my money, like just have my money, hold my beer while I give you my money.
And you had mentioned it earlier, because for me, there's a couple people I talk to, they don't care about Disney or anything they have to offer. They like some of the old stuff, and maybe they'll use it for their kids or family that come over, whatever it may be.
Or sure, if you have, say, just as an example, you can use me. I have a lot of, I'm air quoting them, the Disney cartoon classics, animated classics. I have a lot of Pixar, but obviously I'm missing stuff. Are they cheap to buy? Fuck no. Most of the time when you go to look at a DVD or a Blu-ray, the cheapest you're going to find them for is $10, and they range all the way up to $25 or $30.
Yeah, and then they vault stuff and put it back out, update it, and Blu-ray, so on and so forth.
Put some new features out, make it cost more money.
But no, like I was saying, I know people that are going to get it strictly for the ESPN Plus and Hulu, because they're like, hey, I have Hulu already. I might as well get this and then get that. So, I mean, that little bundling thing is definitely going to help. They have said that they're going to stream their shows in 4K HDR. They just haven't said specifically what shows are going to do that. The Mandalorian, I'm sure it's going to be one of those because it's going to be very vibrant.
I would
colorful.
presume, I mean, with the way technology is going and the fact that like all of these things are action-based shows, right? You know, in that context. So I feel like, you know, you talk to so many people throughout the years and they'll ask me what movies I go to see. And I'm lame. So I'm like, I go to see like Wes Anderson movies and Will Ferrell movies and kids movies. And they're like, why? Why would you spend that money of your money to go to a theater to see those kind of movies? Why wouldn't you go see action movies? I think the last action movie I truly was excited to spend money on was like the Avatar movie because of just how crazy everything was supposed to be with all the CGI and stuff. I feel like that was the last time I can really remember feeling like it was warranted that I spent that kind of money in the theater for an action movie.
Okay, well, you do know that was 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing too. And now they own the rights to all that, so they bumped that back again another year. So these movies just keep going slower and slower. At any rate, it's gonna Disney Plus and so on and so forth, or you're gonna be able to stream it through pretty much any gaming console, Roku, Apple TV, things like that. They showed a trailer before or a clip or image or something like that, and it was through an Amazon service, but they didn't officially announce that Amazon was a part of it. But I will assume that they're going to end up doing something like that where it'll be a standalone app that you pay for through Amazon's thing, whatever it may be. We'll see, though.
Yeah. Most importantly, again, this is going to be something that will just further their empire, obviously, which is, if you're a Disney nut, you're super stoked on this. If you're a person that absolutely hates Disney, you're kind of a little bit upset that they're, in a sense, roping Hulu in this. ESPN Plus, I mean, we're all very well aware that Disney owns ESPN. Obviously ABC, the whole 9 yards. So we know that this is a real thing. We all understand that. Now, the other part that we should definitely get into from this expo was obviously a lot of the talks of these changes to the theme parks, obviously. Now, it would be obviously silly of Jake and I to start talking about Disneyland or Great Adventure out in California. California Adventure, I apologize, guys. We don't live in California. I only travel to California, what I would call on a business trip, meaning to go see baseball and to go eat their food and things. I've not yet gone to the parks out there. I don't know, other than being with Tiffany and having Emery now, that I ever will, but good for those guys that they have those parks. But we're going to definitely focus on what's happening here in Celebration, Lake Buena Vista, Orlando, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, so I'm going to mention the very first thing because I think you're pretty excited about it, and that's the addition of Mary Poppins and Epcot.
No, but you know what? They need to focus on bringing some more pizzazz to each of these pavilions. They really need to bring in some more stuff. Now, I know that there's space in a lot of these different pavilions for where they basically made these pavilions to where you could expand and put a ride in. We've talked about it with our previous podcast, how in Germany, obviously the beer garden was supposed to be another river ride like there is in Mexico. So there's definitely room. They're talking about having a Mount Fuji coaster maybe down the line. There's a lot of different things that we've been hearing, but there's also, of course, this Journey into Water attraction, the Moana attraction that's supposed to be coming. The things that you and I have had our discussions about where we're really, as far as it goes, we're really big into Epcot. Epcot's our park as far as we're concerned. We feel like we renew our passes. I would say, at least for me, 75% of me renewing is for Epcot.
I love Epcot. Now, I don't even have a legit reason. I think it might be strictly just the worlds because it's a little bit of taste of different cultures for me. And yeah. I mean, I don't have the money to just
we're world travelers when we're there. We're not world travelers. No, for sure. And you had brought up the fact that Brazil is likely to be going in.
It's been a rumor for years now, but it got brought up again.
It makes sense, of course, with Chiquita being a sponsor there at the park. There's a lot of things that are kind of parallels in everything. But we had talked about, you had gone recently with Katie and Jaden, and you had sent me the picture of them basically taking down all of the, all the stuff at the beginning of the park in front of Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, all the stones with the big donations and people's names on it. They've already taken that down. They're redoing all the entrances to pretty much every park. Epcot, they're actually renaming the areas, the zones. It's not Future World and, stuff like that. It's Nature World. And,
yeah, you said there's going to be 4 now.
Yeah, well, they're breaking it into 4 different sections. They have over in France, they're going to have the Ratatouille ride.
Yes, I heard about that too.
stuff like that, different restaurants. They're actually like changing it a lot.
They're building the NASA restaurant now. They're starting to construct that
Yeah,
too.
that I had read a while back, and I think that's pretty cool. They're going to do that. They're also going to have like a resort, and it's going to be, I can't remember. I don't think it's the name of a real plane or spacecraft for that matter, but it's this ginormous like Death Star looking.
Man, that'll be cool.
I don't know. It's awesome, but it's not a Death Star. It's
Well, Google that shit, and we'll keep moving, and you can bring it back up. Now, Jake and I are old school. We really like the kind of the anti-Disney almost that Epcot represents. Like Epcot knows it's Disney, but it like doesn't really know it's Disney. And with a lot of these changes, it's really now not necessarily going to be much of its own kind of like fun little entity anymore. They're really trying to rope Disney in, and we've talked about it on our previous podcast how Epcot has the worst attendance of all four parks. Obviously bringing a Moana attraction in, that's huge. That's gigantic. Moana right now is basically, Frozen is still Frozen, which of course they have the Frozen ride there. But Moana is kind of like the new Frozen, I feel like, where it's really just such a big hit, and they're definitely banking off of it. Obviously they had baby Moana at the end of Toy Story 4. I'm sorry, at the end of well, Moana was at the end of Wreck-It Ralph and Wreck-It Ralph, everything like that. My apologies, everybody. I'm tired. The baby keeps us up, so we do a lot of not sleeping and not thinking right these days. But no, dude. So they're taking out some stuff we actually really like to build some of this new stuff. Like Innovations is kind of going bye.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was saying too. I almost like, because I was mentioning Magic Kingdom and the night show with the fireworks and what have you, where they did wishes, and I actually like that. This new one I don't really care for. Like some of these changes are getting a little too up to date. Like I think a lot of times these things do pay a lot of homage and respect to the nostalgia aspect of it, and it seems like almost overnight they're just going, everything's new, and a lot of the stuff there does just need to be updated.
But the thing is that you got to think, a lot of people were complaining for a long time, very quietly, sometimes publicly, but it doesn't get too far, but very quietly, about how outdated some of these parks were, some of these attractions were, some of the things are. A good example would be like, listen, I love the Indiana Jones stage show. I really do, because I love Indiana Jones. But how many more years do you think that's going to go on for before someone else keeps complaining and goes, there's this whole entire area, we have to pay all these people to keep doing the stage show, why don't we just turn it into something else?
Yeah, honestly, and like it's pretty cool, and I've seen it 3-4 times, but that's enough. It gets played out pretty quick. This, by the way, they're calling it a Galactic Star Cruiser, which is an upcoming, quote, cruise-like Star Wars experience at Walt Disney World Resort. And it will be essentially you will board the ship by checking in an experience entrance located next to Hollywood Studios, and you will enter a shuttle that will blast you into space. And this is, it's all fictitious, obviously.
Yeah.
You like stay in this big star cruiser, starship looking thing where even out the windows are all space like, and everybody and everything around you is all Star Wars related. You pretty much are like a part of the story, and you interact with all these Star Wars themed things, doing drills, and it's super involved.
Again, hashtag
awesome.
Take my money.
But yes, that's the thing. They haven't even announced the price. That thing is going to be booked and reserved forever, and it's probably going to be crazy expensive. It'll be awesome though. But it just made me think of like the space restaurants and things like that you were talking about, where you'll be looking out windows that are going to show spacey things, and I like all that. That's cool. They definitely need to modernize that kind of stuff. The little nature section, I don't want them to mess with that too much. The land and all that.
No, we don't. We love living with the land. I mean, the thing that, and I just found this out, and you didn't tell me because you're a dear friend of mine. I feel like you didn't want to break this guy's heart. I found out through Snapchat of all things that Sir Martin Short, he's already been taken out, and I made it, and it's like my bucket list thing. I'm like, I have to go do a couple more things, obviously, with all the older forms of Epcot, obviously, before it gets changed. Like, obviously, I need to go make sure that I eat at the Electric Umbrella one more time, or get something, even a drink. I don't know, just walk in there. I need to make sure that I try to make sure that I get my picture taken with Baymax, because apparently Baymax is vacating the premises for good. Go one more time to Club Cool and stand there and drink the good and nasty sodas from these other countries.
They're also, I mean, they're renovating the Starbucks there too. They're going to close that down, I think, within maybe the next year or so. Like, they're just changing everything. It's going to have its own
Mouse
little...
Gear is going to have a new theme, and it's going to get changed up. Mouse Gear is massive.
Dude, I know. That's why I don't know. This is a lot of undertaking.
But Epcot was the most dead park, and it's just showing that they really want to get involved with it. Now, we were just talking about, again, with Hollywood Studios, with how kind of like FUBARD some of this stuff is so far. It seems like they're behind again. Like, they closed the Great Movie Ride. Great Movie Ride was for my odds, it was like Jaws at Universal. A lot of people really liked going on that ride, but of course it saw better days. And, they've closed it now, and it's been closed for quite some time. At least with Jaws, like Harry Potter was open and just like you blinked and it opened. Dude, how about that Mickey and Minnie roller coaster is just going to take even more time now.
Yeah, I don't understand why they bother to close so many of these attractions and not have something relatively lined up within, months or something to replace it.
And Guardians is still like 2 years out, apparently, too.
I think
2021.
Everything just keeps getting delayed and pushed back. I mean, clearly they were just focusing on the Star Wars area, and that's pretty much where everyone's just going to be in that area, and then the Toy Story area,
I mean, Toy Story is going to lose some of that momentum. Same with Avatar. I mean, Avatar is finally starting to slow down a little bit, which is good. I finally got to do the Flight of Passage. We're not going to talk about that right now because you didn't like my reaction to it.
Because you're a hipster, dude. Everything that everybody likes, you got to not.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah,
I shrugged it off. It was all right.
It's the best thing they got there.
Well, and we got the Tron roller coaster coming. We're getting sooner than later to that. I thought the Speedway was going to close, but it looks like the Speedway found a sponsor and it's staying.
Yeah, I can't believe that. I thought that's what was going to happen too. And then because it's always closed down anyways, there's a lot of maintenance they always have to do on it. And then all of a sudden, the land behind it got tore up, and that's where they're going to put Tron. And
I feel like part of the circus area, that might be kind of gutted to make some more space. Like, obviously, they can't take out like Dumbo and the Goofy roller coaster and things that need. Maybe they could. I don't know, but I feel like hey. That's a big priority for them. They had already gotten through a lot of the renovations for Space Mountain, which is really good. I love Space Mountain. Usually it kind of gives me a headache because it's dark and I tend to sit forward. You guys don't see me while we're doing these podcasts. I wear glasses. My natural reaction on a roller coaster, unfortunately, is not to sit back. It's to lean forward. And unless I have basically the over-the-shoulder restraint, on most, new roller coasters, you have them, I tend to get off feeling like I just got out of a car accident.
Yeah, you know what? I wish they would actually update the Carousel of Progress. And, I mean, only visually. Like, I really like the guy that does, voiceover work and that whole Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. But their future world in it is totally dated.
Yeah, close it for 6 months, update, get some better robots in there, get some better scenery in there, whatever you need to do. Like you said, update the newest one. Obviously, that's what they're doing to Spaceship Earth. They're going to close down Spaceship Earth, and it's going to be a brand new story that's in there.
There's still nothing where there used to be that alien ride, then it became a Stitch thing. That's been closed down for some time now.
Yeah, over in Tomorrowland area.
Yeah, there's just a lot. Like, the last time we went there, I mean, for whatever reason, I've become obsessed with this place, and I really find happiness there.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know if they plug stuff in the air, like what they're doing to me, but you of all people, you're a very cynical person, and the fact that you have enjoyed this so much, it still to me is like the funniest thing in a weird way.
I know, that's why I mention it. It's like, but at any rate, last time we were just there, I keep saying that we're not renewing, and I've been saying that for a couple of years now, and we end up renewing, and now I was like, honestly, there's so much construction going on and there's so much closed, and it does kind of make people clutter together even more. And I was like, between the heat and the amount of people and the amount of things that are getting changed or updated or whatever, I was like, I think next year I'm probably going to take a break.
TIFF is Disney everything. There's never going to be a moment where Tiffany does not have an annual pass, where Emery won't have an annual pass. Like, that's like their family thing. And I respect that. It's really cool that people as a family can bond over something. I know a lot of people and a lot of families do that with Disney. In my household, it was usually like sports that we bonded over, except for my mom. She hates sports. Not the important thing. It really hurt Tiffany's feelings when Rafiki's Planet Watch at Animal Kingdom was, I'm air quoting right now, closing down to become a seasonal thing. And she even brought up the other day how she's really upset because apparently one of the entrances is not the same now. And I guess a lot of the things that are in there are now gone. Like, it's just not the same thing. And of course, that was a lot of people's like kind of cult favorite part of Animal Kingdom, was being able to get on that train, basically from the Africa area to go out to Rafiki's Planet Watch, and then, you know, obviously get back on the train to go back.
Yeah, I don't.
I did it once. I thought it was neat that when I went in there. Now, if we're talking about us for nostalgia purposes, right? We've talked about a lot of these things. We've talked about a lot of things that have genuinely made us happy, whether it be with the new streaming service, whether it be with some updates. Like, I will tell you guys, I love Moana. I am excited to see what happens with this, especially it's supposed to be interactive. Like, it's an interactive exhibit. What is the one attraction that you feel like out of all 4 parks that if they got rid of that attraction, like, you would actually be stomping your feet, huffing and puffing, and like just on social media blasting Disney?
So, you know, like, it's stupid because they're not like the big crazy rides. And for me, I really enjoy the Carousel of Progress for whatever reason.
Okay.
And the land.
Living with the land.
And it's just a simple little thing about growing, you know, food yourselves and what have you. And
sustainability. Like, showing where we came from.
And and that's in parallel things there with Carousel of Progress. You know, it's all about advancement and how things have changed. Because to me, I mean, every couple months they could pump out a quote thrill ride and throw a little Disney, you know, theme on it. Mm-hmm. They're all the same thing, and that's why I like Epcot so much, because of what they offer is educational for the most part, and then it has its little thrills. I kind of wish Test Track would be somehow updated a little bit.
And it did go through a facelift though, because
I know, but it needs another one.
I think it went from, I want to say it was GM that was originally there, to, of course, just Chevy specifically now. Now, for me, it's something that Tiffany and I, it's like our cult ride is Journey into Your Imagination, featuring Figment, or whatever they've decided to call it now. When I was little, it was basically where you were with the Dreamfinder, and obviously Figment, and it was a much longer ride. Then they shortened the track when you had basically Eric from Monty Python take over, and they completely took out the Dreamfinder and Figment. And the Disney people, like the Epcot people specifically, were like, fuck you, where's our dragon? And then eventually they put Figment back in the show with him. And now it's, from everything I've been hearing, and I'm hoping it works out this way, is because obviously they're going to displace all of the character area that's in Epcot to repurpose that. So you're going to have to go around the park now to see these different characters, you know, like obviously where you meet Mickey and Minnie and everything. Sure. So supposedly, obviously, Joy and Sadness are not being displaced, where, again, I'm bringing up Baymax is going to be gone. Like, they're not going to use them anymore. So if Joy and Sadness are going to stay, what does that mean? And all signs are apparently pointing to them taking Journey into Your Imagination out and putting Inside Out in, because so much of that is a human body, a human spirit, whatever, you know, your emotions and how you feel about stuff, putting it in there, really utilizing that pavilion again, and then potentially displacing Figment.
To me, I feel like Figment is cool, you know, and it's nostalgic, and
Figment's a character that Disney himself pretty much did not create. It was created with that park, and I think that's the most fascinating part, is that he's a standalone good story for Disney in general. But go on, I'm sorry.
And I think they should keep it, not necessarily that ride. I think trash the ride, okay, modernize it and make it some type of a 3D show. And if you're sitting in some type of little chair or whatever it may be, and you're being whisked around or moved around, and you have Figment popping up at you in 3D,
and we brought up it going into the Pixar shorts right next door, because of the fact that used to be the Honey I Shrunk. Obviously, that's been gone a long time. It's changed. It went back to Captain EO, and we're not going to talk about Michael Jackson.
Those shorts are great, okay, but they stay there for a long time.
They stay too long.
So once you've seen them, you've seen them. We've watched them maybe 6 times now, honestly, but it's
just
also
nice to get out of the heat, dude.
And that's what it is. We use it for a place to get out of the heat, because people don't go over there, because the only thing that's over in that area is Figment, and then that. And when we ride Figment, it's fun and it's enjoyable for what it is, but it's just so dated and it looks kind of tacky. But I think if you sat down in like a theater or whatever it may be, kind of like we were talking about earlier before,
and you just let him fuck stuff up.
Yeah,
just let him fuck stuff up.
If like we were talking about before the podcast, the Animal Kingdom, the Bug's Life, how everything's very interactive.
Sure.
Could you imagine having something like that? Like you're sitting there and then Figment says
like blowing in your ear.
Or all the seats start moving up and down. Like it gets you really involved. That would be sweet, and you'd be able to keep Figment around. I don't think they're going to do that. Well, I don't know.
We don't know.
It's pure speculation. I think it'd be cool.
It is pure speculation by us on this part. Obviously, some of the things that we've said on this podcast, you're going to like. Some of these things you're not going to agree with. We understand that completely. Feel free to tweet at us. Feel free to tell us, what your favorite parts of our Florida Disney parks are, what you're the most excited to see, obviously, with the new streaming service, because we'd love to hear back from you guys. We really would.
Yeah, or if you don't like any of those things and you're an HBO person or a Netflix person or whatever it may be, let us know, because we're genuinely curious. We've done podcasts before on our previous podcast,
and a lot of our affiliates at Nerds and Beyond, they've written a lot of articles about all these new changes that are coming. They're obviously very passionate about Disney, as Jacob and I are too. Feel free to go check up on the website, because there's a lot of really well put together articles discussing all these new changes that Disney is about to go through.
What's the HBO show that you watch right now?
Righteous Gemstones.
Righteous Gemstones, yeah. Catch us in our next podcast where we're going to talk about the HBO show, Righteous Gemstones.
And our HBO shows that we've been dabbling with, like you've been dabbling with Euphoria. I'm super stoked on The Watchmen. I'm the worst. I should be watching Succession because it's rave reviews, but I haven't seen a single episode.
Same thing with me. Maybe I'll start watching that. I've heard nothing but good things. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and feel free to drop us a message or whatever it may be. And thanks for listening.
Next time.